What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Twigger and I have Alex beside me as my co-commentator. We are getting into Game 2 of Week 3, Day 1 of the Toronto eSports League of Legends tournament. We have Artificial Gravity versus Supernova eSports. As you guys might have seen, Artificial Gravity played in the first game of today. There was a little bit of a level disparity between the two teams. There was a 17.5-minute game in favor of AG there, but now we have two very, very similar teams in AG versus SN. So, Alex, what can we expect to see from this game?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if SN was, watching that previous game because there's a couple champions there that did a lot of work, namely the Renekton and the LeBlanc, both really controlling their lanes and managing to pick up a lot of side kills and opting to go for that Jarvan ban. So probably a shout out to the last game there.
But it's looking like some fairly standard bans. Like when you look at top tier play, you are seeing the Fiora, the Alistar, the Nidalee bans. These are fairly standard bans, and with the Jarvan updates to his ultimate, definitely a worthwhile ban. And considering that our Artificial Gravity played it so well last game, definitely something that's worth a ban. But we already have the Gangplank coming up fairly early. Could be a mid lane Gangplank or a top lane Gangplank. We do not quite know yet.
Yeah, if they do go with the Lulu and the Janna, I would highly recommend AG picking up the Kog'Maw here, because it does look like that's the direction that they're going to go on the other side. They have that double support, protect the Kog'Maw composition building up. So probably a good idea to take that one away or grab the Kalista, and Alistar is banned, so don't have that option.
So it's going to be curious to see what they choose to put with the Gangplank. The Lulu, once again, also being one of those flex picks that can be a support, as we saw last game. Could be in the mid lane, could be up in the top lane. The Gangplank really only kind of a mid laner or a top laner, but not going to be sure exactly where they're going to put the Gangplank quite yet, but hovering over a Gragas, which would be a very solid jungler.
Yeah, with the Janna, most likely a mid lane Lulu. Because usually the Janna does see support play, but sometimes you also see that top Janna. That was in the meta for a little bit, so still have that option, but very unlikely.
So a Nami pickup for the support.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of Nami nowadays in League of Legends, so very excited to be seeing that.
Pretty interesting pick there. I don't know if I really like it. I think I would like to see the AD carry picked up there, because as we said, it's pretty clear that they are going for a protect the AD carry comp of some kind, so you can at least take away one, and because they have two support picks already, you don't really gain anything by taking away a support on your own side, but it does allow them to counter pick. If they want to send that Gangplank mid now, they do have the counter pick for that Nautilus top, if they do lock that in, but we'll see which direction they go. There's the Kog'Maw.
Hopefully they lock it in.
Yeah, most likely going to be that Kog'Maw. Kind of spelling that out throughout this whole draft. And even with the Nautilus, more protection. And actually, I like that Kate pickup. Really, your options as far as other AD carries go were Lucian. Corki was available, but Lucian, Corki, and Ez. But the Caitlyn is going to provide a lot of range, so she'll be able to poke down those tanks that they're going to have on the front line. I expect to see the last jungle pick for SN be a tanky jungler, just to add to the double tank, double support, and then the Kog'Maw.
But we were talking about it last game in regards to the Kog'Maw. Just being able, with his attack speed from his passive and his W, getting that Guinsoo's Rage Blade on him, followed up by something like a Blade of the Ruined King, he just becomes an absolute artillery turret, just destroying people left, right, and center with how quickly he can stack that Ghost Blade. Oh, sorry, not Ghost Blade, Guinsoo's Rage Blade. But looks like the Artificial Gravity team was looking to go for that Renekton, and a fairly out-of-meta pick nowadays, not really picked in the top-tier plays, but we saw how well they played it last game, so kind of relying on it and going back to it. So now we know what their comp looks like. We're just waiting for the jungler on the red side to fill out that composition.
Yeah, my guess is a Lee Sin.
Lee Sin? You think Lee Sin out of that?
Yeah, because they have that disengage with the Janna, and provides another disengage for their team.
So I'm thinking definitely somebody AD oriented because they do have a lot of magic damage coming from the Kog'Maw and the Lulu and the Nautilus and the Janna. I think you need something pretty heavy AD, so yeah, the Lee Sin would probably be a good pickup, and look at that. Alex with his color commentary knowing what's up.
Oh yeah.
Making sure that they got that Lee Sin. So exactly as Alex called before is that this Kog'Maw is going to be phenomenally well protected. Even having the Lee Sin as another form of kind of protect the Cog of kicking people away from him if anybody gets close, but you do have things like the Gragas barrel that can knock the Kog'Maw in if his positioning is not spot on.
Yeah, it's going to be up to the Janna to instantly push away that Gragas if he flashes in or tries to get a body slam off. Because if he's able to get an ultimate, a good explosive cast off, the Janna reset isn't going to be able to do too much. It's just going to heal whoever's in the area, but everyone will be far away from her already.
So we can say, at least with these two teams, the team fight potential on both sides is phenomenal. We're definitely going to be waiting to see some 5v5 team fights from both sides.
Yeah, on the one side, SN is going to be looking to group up around the mid game, and we will probably see AG grouping up a bit later on. Going to try and get some extra farm on the Gangplank. And wait for that Caitlyn power spike as well.
Yep, so guys, we are just going to wait that 3-minute delay period to get both of these teams onto the Rift. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're getting into Game 2 of Day 3, Day 1 of the Toronto eSports League of Legends Tournament. Artificial Gravity on the blue side versus Supernova eSports. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes, but definitely, guys, follow Toronto eSports on Twitter and also check out their Facebook page to get all of the updates and notifications of this tournament. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Enjoy the music and enjoy the lovely animation that we have on screen. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Swigger, and I have Alex here as my co-commentator. We're just going to talk quickly about the Artificial Gravity versus Supernova eSports game.
Oh.
We're not even going to be able to talk about it. Why does it load so quickly?
I know why. It's because we're just waiting. We're not actually loading. It's only
we're not
waiting
loading
for us to load, so that's why we don't have any time to talk about Keystones. And we don't have access to them in-game, unfortunately. So
it'll have to be something that Riot's going to need to change. With the Keystone Masteries, they play such a pivotal role in terms of just the amount of damage that people can give, the amount of healing that can sometimes come out. I'm assuming that the Renekton probably running the same Keystone Mastery as previously.
We saw this start from them last time, but Lulu is going to see them this time. That's why you always want to send your mid laner down the middle lane, so you can see the enemy team trying to sneak into one of those side river bushes. Because if they can sneak into that bush, it gives them a huge advantage for positioning for that level 1 fight.
And this could have been something as well that maybe if Supernova was watching the previous game, knew that that type of an engagement was going to happen going into that side brush in the mid-river.
For sure.
So definitely good on them to scout that thing out. You know, these games are live. You can, in fact, watch your opponents and try to find out their strategies. But
yeah,
even after seeing how well the Renekton did, looks like Supernova was not really intimidated by that gigantic Renekton of the last game.
Yeah, they have their own tank in the top lane, so looking to just play standard lanes, it looks like. And they're going to have that Nautilus trying to split push his way kind of past that Renekton in the mid to late stages of the game. Probably going to pick up that ZZ Rot portal and possibly even a... Actually, no, you know what? Either Janna or Lulu will most likely get a Banner of Command. And bit of an invade here. They have vision on those two.
They do have vision, but it looks like the blue side already backing off. They are going to put a ward. Some great game sense coming out of Artificial Gravity, putting that ward over there. Knew that something felt a little bit fishy.
That delays the Lee Sin start by quite a bit. He's just walking back to his jungle. And starting on the red buff with no leash, so...
And it looks like we do also have the Kog'Maw and the Janna finishing off that Gromp fairly quickly. It looks like they're going to try for that little bit of a quicker level 2 strategy. Kog'Maw didn't miss any of the minions currently in his lane, but the Nami already doing a significant chunk of damage to the Janna, already at half HP for Janna. Going to have to chug those pots. I always say chug those pots, but it's really eat those biscuits. I don't know why I continue to say that, but definitely going to need to eat those biscuits to gain some of her life back. But we could see some big action happening at level 2 with the Janna and Kog'Maw.
Yeah, Janna lost a lot of HP from the Gromp, which did delay their plans a little bit. But yeah, she's going to pop that biscuit and then delay the aggression until level 2.
But it looks like the blue team just opting to push these guys right underneath their turret. Hopefully, the idea of doing something like this is that hopefully it's going to lose the Kog'Maw a little bit of farm. Also allows access for the Caitlyn to land pilt over Peacemakers like what she just said on the Kog'Maw. Get a little bit of free poking damage on him. But already we're seeing in the mid lane, the Gangplank taking a lot of damage from the Lulu. Something that you tend to expect a melee champion versus a caster champion like Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu's definitely going to have that advantage in the mid lane. She doesn't want to let the Gangplank farm. Lots of damage here. Both ways. A
ton of damage. Two very beefy members going head to head. I feel like this is once again one of those top lanes that if one of them gets ahead, we could very well see a snowball from the top lane. Both Nautilus and Renekton being very strong top lane champions.
For sure. Renekton is going to have that early pressure over the Nautilus, though. We can see Longsword into the Doran's shield. So the Renekton is going to try and pressure that lead soon. If he doesn't come out of this lane, though, with a bit of an advantage, I'd say that's a 1 lane for the Nautilus, because later on he'll be able to withstand the Renekton damage. And yeah.
So the bubble missing there. And a lot of damage coming out of the Kog'Maw onto the Caitlyn, but Caitlyn being able to use her 90 caliber net to get away from that one, also landing it onto the Kog'Maw to get that accelerated shot, but a little bit of a gank happening onto the Gangplank, but it looks like the Gangplank actually misconnecting his barrels. The Nautilus trying to land a hook on the Gangplank. I think it was the best thing to the Nautilus that did not land.
Yeah, seriously.
Wow, that was scary.
That was seriously scary.
What were they thinking there? Did they think that they were going to have enough damage on them?
I don't think they expected the Gragas, first of all. But that does set the Nautilus a little bit behind, but he only left, gank from the Lee Sin.
So here's the gank, Lee Sin, the exhaust going down onto the Lee Sin to stop some of that damage. The Nami going to have to flash away from this one. Kog'Maw flashing away as well, but it looks like the Caitlyn trying to flash after they get that last auto attack. The exhaust going down on the Caitlyn as well. Bubble is missing onto the Lee Sin. Looks like currently the blue team have the red team on the run, but Lee Sin going with the Lee Syndrome onto the Nami, trying to get the last auto attack. Is going to be enough to pick up first blood. Lee Sin now turning onto the Caitlyn and a double kill going for the Lee Sin with the assist, I believe, just going onto the Janna. Sadly, the Kog'Maw only picking up 1 one assist on that one, but still a very worthwhile gank in favor of the red team, Supernova Esports.
Yeah, that was Lee Sin trusting his Janna there to give him a timely shield, and also proccing his own safeguard for the double shield, and barely living there, and gets the double kill there on the bot lane. That red buff really helped him out there. Got the first proc onto the Janna and forced the flash, and was able to just keep attacking, get those red buff procs until both members dead of that AG bot lane.
So I could have sworn that when you saw that second Lee Sin Q landing onto the Nami, I could have sworn that that was just going to be a case of Lee Syndrome, but looks like there might be a dive in the top lane against the Nautilus. The Gragas is going to go in, but the Lee Sin here just at the right time. Going to lock down the Renekton. Renekton's going to start tanking the turret, but it looks like the Lee Sin is going to follow through on that Q, and it's going to be a kill.
Nice.
The flash dredge line going in from the Nautilus. The flash going to have to come out of the Gragas, but safeguard going on from the Lee Sin. Looks like he's going to miss his Q, which would have probably secured the kill onto the Gragas, but they still have chase here. The body set is coming out. The slows are going to come down from the barrel, but it looks like Lee Sin has one more opportunity. Jen is just kind of sitting in the mid lane, is going to finally slow him down. It looks like everything just missing on the Gragas are taking him forever, but finally, the Lulu going to be the benefactor of that kill. Janna supporting a little bit there, but spending a lot of time in that mid lane, not joining her team for that fight.
Yeah, I guess you could say she was keeping the gangplank away. Just wanted to keep the gangplank in the mid lane to make sure that the Gragas wasn't going to get away from that one, and it did work.
But you can say that in the end, when she did finally come to that fight, she was going where the wind blows.
Yeah.
Janna joke. So it looks like we just kind of are going back to standard lanes now. A lot of action happening in the first little bit, but TP coming down from the Nautilus. He does have a dredge line available, so is he going to be able to land? It does connect it with the Caitlyn. The auto attack going to lock her into place. Looks like the E going to soar her down. The Gangplank ultimate cannon barrage coming down, but it's not going to be enough. It is going to be a kill onto the Nautilus. The TP now coming out from... Well, it was supposed to be, I believe, the Gangplank, but it was a very, very late... Sorry, it was the Renekton who actually tried to do that one, but it was a very late attempt at a TP. The fight was already done, and it looks like now the Nami going back in, knowing full well that everybody was there, and that is going to be a free kill for the Kog'Maw. Definitely a lot of aggression or confidence coming out of the Nami to walk that far up, knowing that the Nautilus was still so close by, but... ends up being a death onto the Nami, and this is going to be the first dragon of the game going in favor of Supernova Esports with a 6-0 lead.
Yeah, definitely the way you want to start the game. After, especially we saw AG with a dominant victory in their last one that just happened. So really great start here for SN. Let's just take a look at the farm for a second. We do have Nautilus 15 CS below the Renekton. So although the Nautilus has been doing a lot of team fighting and teleporting around the map, finding those gank opportunities, the Renekton is just staying up top, getting a farm advantage. So they're probably pretty close individually, but global golds, not so much.
Yep,
and
so
everyone else is pretty even.
We've already got the Tiamat onto the Renekton, and this is the exact same type of build that Renekton built the last game, which just went so heavy into the damage cycle of Renekton. It was absolutely incredible. But just looking, that is the top lane advantage. Also, the turret going down in favor of the Renekton, so a lot of global gold. But looking at kind of the CS scores overall, 20-23 in the jungle, not that big of a difference. 61-58, fairly even in the mid lane, and also 44-43 in the bot lane for the ADCs. Everything else other than the top lane seems to be fairly standard. Everybody doing their best in terms of farm, but Lee Sin safeguarding over to a ward in the brush in the river, but looks like the flash kick going to come out onto the Nami. Nami does have her flash available and an exhaust, but not going to use any of them because it just looks like she kind of sealed her fate, you know, kind of got kicked out of the water and onto the dock and into the face of a Kog'Maw who's going to barf all over. Don't think there's a better English sentence than that, Alex.
Yeah, well done. I wouldn't have been able to get through that one.
So all in all, we're seeing a fairly aggressive Supernova Esports against this. And to be honest, the last game that we saw with Artificial Gravity, they were much more aggressive. They were more the playmakers of that game, and it just seems as though the game has just been completely tilted on its head, and now Supernova Esports just being the aggressors in every single lane, making the plays, making the TP plays, and utilizing Lee Sin's early and mid-game power spikes to really push the advantage.
Yeah, definitely Lee Sin is the prime factor here, getting a lot of those early ganks off and able to help his team out a significant amount. But we did say in Champ Select that Artificial Gravity is going to be looking to farm up on that gangplank. Whoa,
Gangplank being caught out a little bit. The Lee Sin going to tank everything up, but is just going to get wild growth by Lulu and get out of there with not even taking that much damage. But it looks like there was a gank on the bot side as well. Caitlyn going to pick up a kill onto the Kog'Maw. That Agathian Surprise is doing a lot more damage than you would expect, almost taking down the Caitlyn. But successful gank from the Gragas. I believe that's actually the first kill of the game for Artificial Gravity. So 8-1, but on the scoreboard, they're already right now. It looks like Supernova Esports already pushing down this first tier turret in the mid lane since they did get the kill onto. I was going to say Gragas, but Gangplank is what I'm looking for. Gragas is on the team as well, but there's going to be the turret, and we now have a 2.5 thousand gold lead in favor of the red team.
Yeah, so that was a bit of a cross-map play there, 3-on-1 on each side, but because the wave in the middle lane is easier to push, shorter distance, and they had it pushing already when they started that fight, advantage goes to SN there, even though it's just a 1-for-1. But they're able to pick up the mid lane turret, which is going to be huge for their map pressure here for the rest of the mid game.
And we're also seeing, we can't really see just based on Fog of War, but if you look at the mini-map, the amount of coverage that the red team has right now, Supernova has done a fantastic job, especially in that top side jungle of the blue team. It's their jungle at that point, and we just don't have a lot of ward coverage coming out of the blue side. So these Lee Sin jungle ganks are going to be so great because of his ability to safeguard over walls to these wards, to know where the enemy team is, to really collapse and make advantage fights for Supernova Esports. But as we're seeing, Caitlyn going underneath her turret is of course going to do the standard Caitlyn thing, laying down a lot of traps, but we do have the Gragas coming in and also a TP from the Renekton. The TP is going to be matched though by, it looks like the Nautilus probably coming in. The Janna trying to get away from this one, but Renekton is going to come in, not actually going to go onto the Janna. She might get away, but just jumping straight onto the Kog'Maw, the damage dealer. The Dredge line missing from the Nautilus onto the wall to get him away from that one, but it looks like Gragas is going to be taken down by the Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is going to be traded though, and it looks like the Nautilus is going to try to get out of this one. A lot of damage being taken by him, but it looks like the Lee Sin is now coming in here. His Dragon's Rage is available, going to kick, but not actually going to knock anybody else up. The Wild Growth coming on to the Lee Sin from the Lulu. He's going to be taking a lot of damage, and the shutdown going towards the Caitlyn, who now has red buff. I don't know if they're going to chase this one down. They are going to chase it. The Wild Growth is not available onto the Lulu. Cannon Barrage doing a lot of damage. Caitlyn trying to get in here as well. So many turret shots being tanked by the Gangplank, though. The ultimate coming down from the Caitlyn is not going to be enough to clean up the Nautilus, but that was a 4-4-2 exchange in favor of Artificial Gravity. So a lot of aggression coming out of Artificial Gravity, but definitely worthwhile aggression because it really paid off, and they're going to be able to clean up their second turret of the game, the one in the bot lane.
Yeah, bot lane party there, 5-on-5. Both TPs burned. Lulu is the only one, or sorry, Lulu and Gangplank, the only ones not burning TP there. But yeah, as you said, a 5-4-2, so a delayed ace. 4-for-2, sorry. Almost the ace. Not picking up that Nautilus on the end as we saw.
Very, very close, but it's once again one of those things that you see and something that you kind of have to discuss about where the kills actually go on these teams.
For sure.
The issue
very important.
And the issue that we're going to be facing here. Oh, but look at this Kog'Maw go. Is going to get knocked up. A great bubble. The flash having to come into Kog'Maw as well. The red buff is ticking, but I don't think it's going to be enough to actually take him down. The Gangplank is currently here for a little bit of support, but doesn't have Cannon Barrage. But an ultimate coming out of Gragas, knowing where the Kog'Maw was, and that's going to be a free kill. Agathian Surprise not going to actually land on anybody. Tornadoes coming up from the Janna. Gangplank and Gragas are both here to try to add some support. The tidal wave from Nominee is not up, but should be up in about 5 to 10 seconds. It looks like the Lee Sin trying to get in onto that Gragas, but not really going to have anything here. The Dragon's Rage is available for Lee Sin, and also the Wild Growth from Lulu. So they are certainly not out of this yet. They could definitely make some plays happen with the tankiness that could come from the Wild Growth. Janna is also waiting for her ultimate. Should be up in just a couple seconds here, but I don't think they're going to go in on this one because of the amount of damage that Lee Sin's currently taken. But they're still definitely thinking about it. Lee Sin being very aggressive here, not taking down that pink ward in the Tri-Brush. But, man, this is just back and forth. These teams do not want to give up. The Dragon's Rage coming down onto the Gragas. The Tornado missing, but is going to be taken down by the Lulu. The Wild Growth going onto the Lee Sin now while they chase down onto the Gangplank. But a great bubble from the Nami going to stop this one. But the Safeguard coming in as well. The Caitlyn coming in with her ultimate is going to try to pick up the Lee Sin, but not going to be enough quite yet. The Gangplank barely getting the barrel taken down by the Lee Sin. And Lee Sin now getting the kill. A great heal coming from the Janna to deal with the damage from the Piltover Peacemaker. But while all this was going on, it's been enough time that Kog'Maw has respawned and walked all the way back down into this fight. He could very well die again. I feel like I'm going to lose my voice because of how long this team fight has gone on for.
That is a long fight. And Renekton able to get that tower. He's doing some work on the Nautilus in top, I believe.
Yep, 105 CS to 74, but
Big fight.
It looks like, yeah, the ultimate coming out of the Nautilus, but he is currently out of mana, so I don't think he wants to go against a full Rage Bar on the Renekton. Just doesn't seem like a smart idea from the Nautilus, so definitely smart to disengage on that one, but Renekton going right back aggressive onto him, but all in all, so it completely just kind of took away my thought previously, but a lot of the kills going onto the Caitlyn during those last couple of fights, but we did also get a kill onto the Renekton, onto the Gragas, and onto the Nami, so a nice little spread, but a lot of damage once again going onto this Kog'Maw. Luckily for him, the Cannon Barrage coming down.
He's got to run.
Janna's shield being on the Kog'Maw though, but possibly one more hit from the Caitlyn. The Pillar Beast Maker not going to connect, but her ultimate is going to be up in just a few seconds here. Gragas is coming in as well. He does have his ultimate as well. Is going to throw it and is going to land another kill. I can't believe how many times this Kog'Maw has died to just that one barrel, but it looks like Gragas now a little bit out of position here. 3 members of the enemy team are going in onto this Gragas. Supernova Esports really tracking down this Gragas, but it looks like the Caitlyn is here now. They are going to turn onto the Lee Sin. The Ace in the Hole is now available for the Caitlyn. Not going to use it right away, but does have it available.
Gangplank has a nice push on in the mid lane, and no one is going to be able to stop him there, so his Trial by Fire, not opting to hit the tower, but thought he was going to get that Trial by Fire passive activated on the tower. Gets a lot of damage down.
So exactly what we were kind of talking about before is that, you know, there was the aggression that was coming out of Supernova Esports at the beginning of this game, but now it looks like the entire thing has been swapped all over again, and that Artificial Gravity is doing a fantastic job at pushing their aggression, doing the dives when they need to have them done, landing the ultimates when they need to land the ultimates. And it's looking like there's a lot of damage going down onto this Renekton, but it, once again, doesn't look like Nautilus really wants anything to do with this. Understands the Renekton is pretty high in terms of farm. Does have his Ghostblade completed as well as the Tiamat, so a lot of damage going to be coming out in him if they did get into a full-on scrap. But I think Nautilus is content at just farming right now and trying to get that top-tier turret down.
Yeah, so as you said, bit of a swap here on the gold lead. It was, I believe, 8-0 for SN at one point. And AG has closed the gap here. We have a 500 gold lead. Gragas getting pretty low here, but just going to be able to walk out, take his wolves. Yeah, so I'm not too sure what point it was where the swap happened, but I think SN taking some fights in the bottom lane that they didn't have all their abilities ready for. And both teams kind of staying in the bottom lane for too long, not respecting that the other team had members coming back. It just led to some chaos and some crazy fights in the bottom lane, so I will say good job on AG for using those fights to catch back up and get some advantages on their side.
Well, that's exactly what we want to see, but while all this was going on, we did have a blue buff there that was tried to be taken by the Lee Sin, but Gragas managed to secure that one, but it's not going to be on the Gangplank. But it looks like the red team is now finally opting into this Kog'Maw, which now has the Gwynsu's Rage Blade completed, does have the red buff now as well, so this is becoming the Kog'Maw that everybody is scared of. One more item, something like a Blade of the Ruin King or something along those lines, this Kog'Maw is going to be very difficult to deal with, and if they don't kill him immediately during a team fight, he is just going to snowball so hard. But Caitlyn being knocked up with the Nautilus ultimate, the Gangplank ultimate coming out to try to cause some chaos here, but it looks like the slow from the Gragas trying to knock people up. The Gangplank is going to have to run away from this one, flashing over the wall, but it looks like the Lulu is trying to come in here to do some damage to the Gangplank and slow him down with that Glitter Lance, but not going to be quite enough to slow him down enough for his team to come in. But while this is going on, Renekton is currently up in the top lane, did push that into the inhibitor turret, but is now being to try to join his team. If the red team does stay here, but Lee Sin going with the Lee Syndrome, but the Gangplank, why do I keep saying Gragas? Gangplank being able to eat his oranges to gain some HP, so it doesn't actually die to that Lee Sin, and Lee Sin is going to fall during this entire team fight, but now Kog'Maw, the TP coming out of the Renekton is going to come and pop his ultimate, maybe a little bit early for that, but Gragas trying to flash in, body slam onto the Kog'Maw, but the heal coming out as well, the flash coming out from Renekton to try to stun up this Kog'Maw to take him down, but some great mechanics coming out of the Kog'Maw, using that that lovely W, that barf spell, and moving in between to try to get some distance, but Kog'Maw taking down the Gangplank, and it looks like the Nautilus trying to lock some people down with his auto attacks. The E coming down, Riptide to slow everybody down. Not going to be quite enough to slow everybody down yet, but the Renekton currently caught in the backline is going to be taking a lot of damage. Kog'Maw, is he going to have enough to take down the Renekton? He doesn't have enough ultimate. No, not going to make it. Now he's completely out of mana, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the red team just kind of say, okay guys, that was a good fight, let's call it a break, grab some water, and come back and meet in a couple minutes.
Yeah, definitely pick up those items that we were talking about before. Kog'Maw is going to look for that, most likely a Runons or a Blade of the Ruin King, and he does have a lot of money in the bank, so he's going to go back, pick up some items, and we'll see what he grabs here. Nautilus is a bit far
is going to be able to use that dredge line to get out of this one, but slowing down from the Gragas barrel and being able to chase him with those body slams. He's currently very out of mana, but using the Grasp of the Undying to gain a little bit of life, but now he has the support of Lee Sin, so it looks like the ultimate going to come out of the Nautilus, and this is going to probably be another great explosive cast coming out of the Gragas, but a lot of damage coming down from the Gangplank as well, but it's not going to be enough to actually save his Gragas. I think Gragas just thought that he was going to provide a little bit more damage against that Nautilus, but sadly just not enough. Whoa. But wow, so it looks like Supernova going straight for, oh sorry, it's the Rift Herald. 30 seconds till the Baron comes up. I thought that was a very aggressive call, but looks like they want to get, so no matter what, the Rift Herald will despawn at 20 minutes, so it was one of those things they either get it now or it's gone.
I think it's a bit earlier. I think it's like 50 seconds, 1950.
Oh, is it? So it was going to be very, very close.
It has a despawn animation, and then the Baron animation starts at 20, so yeah, just sneaking that one in there.
So very nicely done, making sure that they get that buff. They're going to need it to try to push down some of the turrets, because the Renekton up in the top lane has gotten the 2 turrets up in top, and the red team just hasn't really secured any turrets up in the top lane. So hopefully they'll be able to use this the Rift Herald buff onto the Nautilus to try to do something. But it looks like the Kog'Maw, the Renekton doing a lot of damage to the Nautilus, but the Janna ultimate coming down immediately. The Monsoon healing up the Nautilus enough that he's not going to die immediately to the Renekton damage, but Renekton now just running through the enemy jungle. He's definitely behind enemy lines on this one. Going to try to be just in here. This is a very risky maneuver, but if it works, they're all collapsing. No, it's not going to work, but he is going to turn onto the Nautilus and is going to have enough damage. And now running away from the Kog'Maw, the goo is going to slow him down for a little bit, but I don't think that the Kog'Maw actually has enough movement speed to catch him, so some very ballsy play coming out of the Renekton, and it's gonna pay off.
Yeah, so we saw the Thunderlord there coming through, and that was what provided that last tick. Big fight here in the mid.
Lee Sin jumping in and getting a Dragon's Rage on 4 members, it seems, of the enemy team. A lot of AoE damage coming down. The Lee Sin with the wild growth from the Lulu. Exhaust coming down onto him as well, but they are gonna chase this one down. Double kill for the Kog'Maw, using that W just to do an insane amount of damage to the enemy team. Caitlyn now running away for her life at barely any HP left, and is going to get out of this one, but that was basically a 2-for-1 if you include the idea of the Renekton killing the Nautilus. But the important thing to note here is that the red team does have minions on their side, and they have a Kog'Maw who's just going to start chunking down that turret. But while all this is going on, Renekton up in the top lane is going to get chased down by a mid lane Lulu. She definitely does have damage, but is this maybe a little bit more than she could chew? He does turn around, but not knowing that the Nautilus is going to be here as well. Just some great timing from the Nautilus to be in that lane, and that's going to be a kill in favor of the Nautilus, who's now sitting at 4-1-4 in that top lane.
Yeah, he's going to be getting pretty tanky. We already see him coming into these fights and just providing a lot of CC and just beefiness in general, big front line. So him and Lee Sin are going to be looking to continue on that trend, get nice and tanky, and keep that cog safe.
So it looks like the blue team opting to go for this dragon. It would be their second of the game, and it looks like right now the red team is fairly content with trying to contest this. Lee Sin is going to try to get it.
No.
It was actually an early smite. It was definitely an early smite. Both of the junglers had to smite that one, but definitely worthwhile to try to go for that, especially as a Lee Sin who can get out of these things fairly quickly. I find it's always not a bad idea to try to go for that steal.
Yeah, he has that execute damage too, so if he can land the Sonic Wave onto the actual dragon, he can often outsmite the enemy jungler just with that combo.
Well, and we're also noticing that the Lee Sin is currently level 11 to the Gragas level 10, so he did have a more powerful smite than the Gragas, so it was definitely an opportunity for a dragon steal there, but the Gragas, I guess, just playing it right and making sure that his team got the dragon on that one. So second dragon of the game, and it looks like the second red buff of the game going to the Kog'Maw. Currently sitting at 6-4-3, but what I'm more impressed with is the Janna, 0-1-14.
Yeah, solid Janna score.
Solid Janna support right now.
Catching out Gragas here too.
Gragas going to get Monsoon back as well. The Kog'Maw damage is now coming out. They're just using absolutely every ability that they have to knock the Gragas up to make sure that he couldn't body slam over that wall. Great use of abilities for kind of an unconventional use of the abilities, but here comes the Baron. It has now spawned. They're doing it right on top of the Scuttle Crab as well. The enemy team has vision of this one, but look at Kog'Maw shredding this Baron down. Already at half HP.
I don't know.
The jungler is dead for the blue side. Artificial Gravity is going to have to rely on their other forms of damage. The Renekton jumping straight in onto the Lulu. The Thunderlord Sprout coming on, and she is going to go down. Renekton doing an insane amount of damage to that Lulu. But it looks like while all this is going on, the Nala is going to use his ultimate onto the Gragas. So Gangplank. It's Gangplank, Twigger. Gangplank. But Caitlyn is going to get taken down by the Kog'Maw. Not going to land, but it looks like the TP coming in from, I believe it's going to be the Nautilus. Going to try to get onto this. Nami is going to be taken down by the Kog'Maw. Once again, just so much damage coming out of this barfing void creature.
Yeah, I had my doubts about that Baron call, but they were able to get off the Baron, not take too much damage, and then able to clean up 3 kills there.
And Alex, it's just one of those things, one of the biggest things that you see with like kind of professional, really strong teams is knowing when to continue the Baron and knowing when to peel off of the Dragon to do a fight. And
right here,
Supernova just knew exactly what to do.
Off, and they are going to.
They are peeling off onto the Gragas, taking a ton of damage, and once again, that is going to be the jungler down for the red team. My lord, that home guard Lulu was quick.
Terrifying.
But going right onto the Gragas, trying to push him just away from this one. Sorry, it was the Renekton who died during that fight, not the Gragas.
Should be a free Baron, though.
Should probably be a free Baron off of this one. The Gragas is nowhere near in range to try to get a smite down, so the red team picking up their first Baron of the game.
All right, and that is going to be good for that Nautilus, who does want to split push in one of the side lanes. Sending him up top right now. So they're just going to send him. He does have no teleport, but he's going to be able to push it up to the tower and likely get some nice damage down when they set up their big push here in all the lanes.
So one of the things that I'd like to bring up, just kind of looking down these items, everything looks fairly standard until I get to one item. And that item happens to be the Lich Bane second item on a Lulu.
Yeah, we've actually been seeing that a lot. It gives you more of like a team fighting / split pushing build as opposed to just that supporty Lulu build. But
ooh, Nami getting knocked up in the Flash Monsoon coming out of the Janna to ensure that Nami went right into her team. Nami might have been able to escape that one with a pretty clutch bubble, but the great Janna play coming out. 0-1 and 19. Part of 19 kills of the 23 kills in total. It's a great kill participation from this Janna right now.
Yeah, and they're just going to go more hard.
Flashing in to try to get a kickoff to kick them into the team, but it didn't actually pan out. The wild growth happening onto the Lee Sin as well, but it looks like Nautilus is going to take down the Caitlyn, while the Gangplank is going to go down to the hands of, well, the hands or the claws or whatever the Kog'Maw has, is going to take down the Gangplank, and it looks like Lulu picking up the Renekton as well on the backside of that fight. That was basically a 4-for-0 exchange, and they take down the turret, having a few Baron minions here as well. They're just going to push into this inhibitor. Do you think they have enough to end the game off of this?
They might, but I think they're just going to go for that one inhibitor and probably back off and push another lane. I don't think they really have enough to go for a Nexus tower or anything like that, but they're just going to go straight away here for the tower in the middle. Nope.
They're just going to go straight down.
They have that wave in the bottom, so they're just going to use that with the Baron and try and get another inhibitor and do the same thing they just did. One thing they have to be careful of, though, is that they lost a decent amount of health, and with the respawns coming in, everyone's going to be full health from AG. So if there is a fight, which they do the right thing and just back off, even though they do have that Baron, they got a lot of structures there. They got 3 towers and the inhibitor, so they'll be able to come back to the bottom lane with that top lane inhibitor finished and push that in.
But we have now passed that 10,000 gold lead mark in favor of Supernova eSports. But while we're kind of looking down just at the creep scores a little bit here, things still fairly close in most lanes, but the Gangplank, 218 CS to the Lulu's 161. Sadly, the Gangplank has just been caught out so many times, but it's pretty impressive that with 6 deaths, he's managed to do work in terms of CS with his barrels.
Yeah.
Very nicely done, and of course, having the Gangplank pass to give him a little bit more gold on the parlay, with the barrels. He's definitely sitting on a good amount of gold. He's got a good amount of items right now, so we've seen the power of Gangplank barrels if he positions them appropriately. The late game Gangplank is nothing to scoff at, so
yeah.
I don't believe that Artificial Gravity is out of this one quite yet, but it's definitely that Supernova eSports has shown up and they're kind of in it to win it this game.
It's dire times for sure. They have that inhibitor, so we see clearing out the vision in the red side here, trying to set up the push in the bottom lane. They might even go for a 4-and-1 split push with Nautilus off to the side.
The Dragon's going to be available in 10 seconds as well. Do you think they're going to peel and go for that?
Yeah, it's probably good if because the second Dragon does give that bonus to towers. So if they do manage to win a fight after picking up that Dragon, they'll be able to take down possibly the Nexus towers, but definitely at least one of the inhibitor towers.
So the Gangplank Cannon Barrage is going to come out, but it's not going to secure the Dragon. It's basically just going to help the Supernova eSports do the Dragon. It's just basically thank you for the leash Gangplank and a little bit of vision. So there were no wards on it, but at least they do now know where the enemy team is. So They might try to set something up in this jungle, but the body slam and the bubble coming out to try to stop this onslaught. But looks like the Gragas ultimate having to come out to try to disengage this fight. But Jana wants to get in here to use her Monsoon, but the tidal wave coming out, going to knock up pretty much everybody on Supernova Esports. But Gangplank is here, a huge amount of damage coming down from the barrels, choking out almost half the HP of the Lulu. Does still have her Wild Growth available though, so it doesn't really have to worry about being killed by anything right now. Assuming that her timing is going to be appropriate on that Wild Growth, but putting a lot of shields onto the Lee Sin because he seems to be the guy that this game is just going to dive into 5 members of the enemy team and also a turret and try to kick somebody back. But we now have the onslaught coming down. The siege potential of this red team is not too bad, but the wave clear coming out of the blue team, very, very good. So it's going to be difficult, but the ZZ Rod or Zerat portal is going down to try to help with this push.
Nice
but
catch.
A great dredge line landing down onto the Gangplank, going to be taken down by the Kog'Maw. The Gragas is now going to be taken down by the Lee Sin. Everybody's just being taken down so quickly. The Monsoon coming out to try to heal up the Supernova Esports team while they dive this turret. It looks like a great dredge line, and also the Dragon's Rage going down onto the Caitlyn, and that is going to be a clean ace, 5-for-0 exchange, and that is probably, it has to be the end of the game in favor of Supernova Esports.
Health bars to go through, 2 of them being very tanky, so that is going to be the game. No problems here, taking down these Nexus towers. So, bit of a rough spot there in the mid game. Almost let them come back in SN, but able to, you know, clench and finish this one with the strong plays at the Baron and the pushes.
It was definitely an aggressive game from both teams. Some great plays showing from both sides, some great strategies, some great decisions happening, but it just seemed as though the Supernova Esports team that protect the Kog'Maw comp really worked. Kog'Maw being an incredibly strong AD carry right now with his abilities.
Yeah, kudos to those supports.
It was a great support, the Kog'Maw team, and they managed to have that positioning on the Kog'Maw so darn well. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. That was Artificial Gravity versus Supernova Esports. Supernova Esports, of course, picking up the win on that game that was about 30 minutes long. It was actually exactly 30 minutes long, which was fantastic. But we're going to take a short little break here as we prepare the lobby for the 3rd game of the night, which is Earth Brotherhood versus UFT Esports. This is a game that you definitely want to pay attention to because UFT Esports currently the leaders, I believe, of this tournament. So definitely one that you guys want to catch. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes. If you guys have time, follow Toronto Esports on Twitch so you guys know when the tournament goes live. Definitely follow them at Facebook as well so you know any updates about the rosters or anything about this tournament. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back for Earth Brotherhood versus